controversy, and more controversy. It seems like that's the topic of the Serie A this week on the Calcio Guys, with controversy 1, Gianni, controversy 2, Adriano, and controversy 3, Nicholas. How you guys doing?
I'm doing
hanging
that was a great
all the controversy.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I had a good weekend, man. I don't know about you guys. I don't know about any controversies on my end, you know.
Your team,
if I speak, I'm in trouble. No,
I prefer not to speak, because if I speak, I am in trouble.
Your teams certainly did have a good weekend, Gianni.
And I was able to watch them for once in a long ass time.
You weren't away this weekend? I thought you were away. You were here this weekend?
No, I got a new part-time job that my a friend of mine runs a card shop here in Montreal, and shout out to Card Brawlers. Awesome. Like he's an awesome owner because he's a friend of mine, and he's able to work around like my school schedule and shit with the whole back and forth between here and Ottawa and Cornwall and everything. So basically on weekends we have a TV set up. Jan actually passed by. Jan, a friend of a show, actually passed by with his brother and stuff on Saturday to play some cards at the shop. Nice. And I was able to like just put the Roma game on TV, and on Sunday I put the Napoli game. But Sunday was like a very busy day, so I saw bits and pieces, but I still managed to see the game. I didn't get to see too much of we'll get there when we get there, but I did manage to see some of the game and be able to develop like some proper thoughts.
I mean, nice. Unofficial sponsor of the show, Card Brawlers, on Corner Jean Talon and Saint Denis. So if you're in Montreal, go check it out. Go check Gianni out on the weekends. Grill him with questions about why he supports two teams. I mean, guys, we might as well start on a positive note since you're talking about that. We might as well start with Monza Roma. The De Rossi effect is real. Like, he's come in, he's done a fantastic job. I don't know, I forget what the exact numbers are, how many games he's won, but I
think he's 8-1-1. I think something like that. It's either 7-1-1 or 8-1-1.
That's crazy, especially considering like he didn't have a good spell at Spal, you know, and that was his only other head coaching job, right? If I remember correctly,
he got thrown into the situation, albeit it was their decision to bring him on. But just he didn't take over a solid working squad, and I think, you know, again, credit to Mourinho to bring them as far as they did, and obviously he's a champion in Europe, and he's just he's an overall legend of a coach, so you got to give him his praise there. But I think what De Rossi's been able to do, and Johnny, you can correct us if we're wrong, but it's just been incredible to watch. Really bringing forward, I think, what Roma stands for and what Roma's about, what it means to wear the shirt, and I think that goes a long way. Maybe it's a band-aid solution. I don't know. We'll see how this end of the season, summer goes. But I think what De Rossi has brought to this club, and even in his post-game interviews, in his pre-game interviews, or just anytime he speaks, you know, the players really love to play for him, and you know, he's brought in that fight, that grinta, and he's brought in players to another level that we haven't seen all season. Obviously, their captain Pellegrini really stepping up. I know Johnny can attest to that, and even Dybala, right? Dybala, when he's on, and he's really firing on all cylinders, which is encouraging to see because he's a star of this league. And I don't know, Johnny. I don't know, what do you make of De Rossi? And I know we've kind of spoken about it before, but what do you like? What's the ultimate goal with De Rossi? I guess just finishing as high as possible, I guess.
So just like taking a look from before, since he joined the team on the 16th of January, he's managed. Wow, in my head he's still a player. Holy shit. He's managed 10 games for the Giallorossi. Including the friendly, they're 8-1-1. They only lost one game and drew they lost one game to Inter, which, you know, that's given and it was like as a 4-2 loss, and in that game they were up after the first half 2-1. So you know, that's just them like just being beaten by one of the top three teams in Europe right now. It has to be said. They tied Feyenoord, but they beat them in the return leg in penalty shots. So I guess you could, like, it ended 1-1, but want to consider penalties a W, it's a W. But it's 8-1-1 since he's taken over the team. I would be completely honest, and I will be completely honest, and I did not expect this type of form to happen with De Rossi. Not that I wanted him to fail, not that I was like hoping him to like not succeed, to like, you know, like support Mourinho, because I enjoyed Mourinho, and we said it many times on the show. Like I enjoyed having Mourinho as a manager for Roma. It really helped change the culture and really like instill some confidence in the players in the sense that like they are a winning team. They're no longer this middle tier team. They are capable of doing well. I'm happy that he's doing this. This is like, it's been a surprise, like a happy surprise, like a good one. I'm not saying that he's a terrible manager. It's just because like, you know, at Spal, you know, didn't have a good run. He like, you know, like he had a great job being like an assistant manager for the Azzurri in the Euros. And I think that's where probably the difference maker is. If you look at the trend, right, the Azzurri and then Roma, teams that he's passionate for, teams that he he holds close in his heart. He's got like 116 caps for the national team or something like that. It's a crazy, like it's a high number. Like the man, like this is his home, and it's a team that it would eat out of his soul if he sees that the team does poorly under him. So he obviously has a lot of internal pressure when he's managing his team, but he's definitely like given revival to players like Pellegrini, who's needed it so badly. He was the player that last year phenomenal. This year was a shadow of himself, and De Rossi just managed to find that untapped energy in him that's been hiding. So, really happy about that. Going forward, to answer that final part of your question, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like it's like the Ranieri effect, where it's like, you know, like he's here just to maintain the ship. Hold it steady to the end of the season and then see from there. I mean, like I said, De Rossi's been doing very well so far. If I was him, I mean, like I'd be stuck in between. Do I want to stay, or, you know, maybe just get a little bit more experience underneath my wings before continuing? Like it's hard because there's a lot of pressure managing Roma, especially when you're a legend of the club, you know, and you're a legend to a lot of Italians too. Because it just seems like you have that winning attitude and spirit. And especially like a lot of the players on the roster, you know, they have that, some of them have that star quality like Dybala. And when Lukaku has it on, he has it on type of thing, you know? So there's players like that you need to like know that like under De Rossi, would they continue to flourish? Like so far it's been going okay. But like, obviously we have to see what happens if they hit some bumps in the road. Like how do they react and how do they, you know, manage it? I think that's why one of the reasons, even though like they won the Scudetto, like Ronaldo didn't work under Sarri, because I don't think he actually respected Sarri. Not that I'm not saying that Sarri's a terrible manager. Like the guy won Europa League, the guy's won a Scudetto, you know, like he does whatever he can. I just think, you know, Ronaldo under Pirlo was a different Ronaldo than Ronaldo under Sarri. Same thing with these star players, right? Like if they don't respect the manager that's managing them, I'm not saying that they don't. They will play differently. So we'll see come summertime. I hope he stays. So far, it's been going very well. The only loss that you experience is basically to the team that you expected to lose to. So that for me, it's not a disappointment. Steady the ship. If they can hit top 4 at this point, like it's looking much more realistic than it was before. You're 4 points.
How many points back?
4 points back.
4 points back. Yeah.
4 points back.
Yeah.
So it's looking much more realistic than it did 10 games ago. 10 games ago, I was like, if they make Conference League, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about it. Like, I think it might have been the first season where I don't see any of my teams finish in the top 4. Now it looks like, with not just Roma, even with Napoli, there's a potential that maybe one of them actually squeezes in, but we'll see.
I think also what Roma has an advantage, and we've talked about this with Bologna too, is there's a possibility for that fifth spot next year. I forget exactly how it works. I think there's the whole UEFA coefficient, but with the expanded Champions League, there could be 5 Italian teams next year. So that 5th spot, you still want to fight for it. Even of course, Roma wants to have a goal to get into 4th, but you know, if they finish 5th and still get into Champions League, it's a consolation. You know, and I mean, Bologna 4 points up. I don't know if they still have to play each other again. Jenny, do you know that if they played twice or not against each other? No, they're playing April 21st in Rome.
21st.
April 21st.
That's a big weekend. That weekend.
My God,
I
you're
think
way up
there's
ahead than I do. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't press that.
there's Juve
It says
Milan
April
too, I think,
20th on
there.
my screen here.
Yeah, the schedule's not out yet. The exact time and date.
Okay.
It says Google says April 21st TBD.
Mine says April 20th. Okay, well,
April 20th,
what that
420.
weekend? That
420
weekend.
blaze it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weekend afterwards on my brother's birthday, Napoli Roma, Derby della Janine.
Our
Good
favorite
birthday
derby.
gift. Bologna did beat Roma 2-0 back on December 17th, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be that would be interesting. But hey, Bologna 2-1 against Atalanta. Atalanta's been slipping a bit. They're back in 6th now. So Roma did get past them. Atalanta's lost their last 2 games. And then further down, Napoli's caught up. They're in 7th. You got Fiorentina in 8th. It's a bit tight there. And then Lazio in 9th. Pretty much, I wouldn't call Lazio out of the European race, but the way they're playing, like, I mean, we had this whole game against Milan, 3 red cards. You know, Lazio got as many red cards as Milan got points. So, which was pretty crazy. And then they go out and lose 3-0 to Bayern, which, you know, you can't hate on them as Bayern. I know Bayern's not going through the best period right now, but, you know, whatever. I think when we talked about the Champions League and previewed these round of 16 games, we all said Bayern would win. They lost. They still have the semifinals against Juventus in the Coppa Italia. You know, I'm sure they're focused on that. I'm sure whatever. Sadi, it feels like his time's coming to an end, as it always does at the end of the season. So we'll see. But we might as well talk about that Lazio-Milan game, the famous game. Incredibly, like I said, 3 red cards. For Pellegrini in the 57th minute, for Marusic in the 94th, then Guendouzi in the 96th. Milan comes away with the 1-0 win with the Okafor goal in the 88th. Adri, like, I don't know if you had the chance to watch it. You're the Milan fan here. Take it away.
Yeah, unfortunately not fully. I mean, they scheduled this game on a Friday, and I guess they forgot that people work during the week outside of Italy. So I didn't watch it in full. I watched a bit of it, caught most of the end after in highlights and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, the pandemonium was the pandemonium. I think, barring that and barring Di Bello's, you know, disaster class in terms of officiating. And yeah, we're gonna slap him on the wrist and suspend him for a month and whatever, but he'll be back in action after that. You know, I think it should have been, like, besides all the chaos, I think Milan maybe created enough to, you know, say that, you know, they could have deserved the win regardless of the shenanigan. 1-0 the final result, like you said, Nick. Okafor, the super sub, coming on and scoring a big goal, because it was, as it was winding down, it looked more and more as if it was going to be another case of being able to draw points in a time of the season where you don't want to draw points. You know, you see your close rivals in the table, not on best form, losing points themselves. So you kind of want to stay the course and maybe have a chance to pass them. You know, I think there was opportunities on both sides that should have went in and had chances. Leal's goal, obviously, that was offside, rightfully so, from the images that I saw. The Immobile chance in front of goal, I thought, you know, you almost think like 9 times out of 10 he scores those. It wasn't to be. And I think Milan had enough character to come back on the other end and put one in. The red cards, I mean, I don't know. I think near the end, it almost seemed like Dybala was just done with the game and just wanted to get this thing like wrapped up. I don't know. It was a bit of a shame how you know, these incidents and these shenanigans during the games, red cards, officiating, you know, errors or whatnot, kind of take center focus of the match at hand. And but barring that, I mean, I think Milan, like I said earlier, regardless of that, I think should have gotten the points. I think deserved the points. Maybe some people will say obviously the draw was maybe the right result, but I don't know. I still think Milan did enough and had enough to get the 3 points. You know, they did. You know, people are going to say, "Oh, where was the penalty at the beginning of the game?" The Mania Tati Castellanos incident. I don't know personally. People might shit on me for it. I don't know, but I didn't think it was a penalty. Like that whole it was. I don't know. There was for me. It didn't look like the intent was there. Like yeah, okay, like they collided into each other, but I think it was just a matter of the situation. It wasn't really. He came out and took him out. The ball had already kind of like gone, and Tati kind of just. I don't want to say he embellished because he didn't. He did. They did. There was contact there, but he kind of just tried to go over him, and obviously they collided a bit. But for me, it wasn't a penalty. It wasn't given. But we saw worse later on. But one thing I obviously didn't like was the Pulisic hate afterwards. The death threats. Some things that with the social media. There's a lot of good with social media, but there's obviously a lot of bad. Some things that we don't like to see. At least personally, you hate to see these types of things. Death threats for any player after a big match. Comment on the controversy, comment on things like that. But was he right or wrong for the way he went about the game? That could be up for debate, no problem. But when it takes that step further, and I know people will say, "Oh, Adria, you're soft," this and that. It's how it is in Italy. I understand, guys. I've been to a game there. We've seen the atmosphere. I know the culture. But besides all that, guys, it's 2024. We're still putting out death threats on players. It's crazy. So I'm not going to say that's a big talking point, but I just wanted to throw that in there. Ultimately, I think, like I said, Milan deserved the points, got the points. Wasn't the best looking game because I think it could have been more, maybe should have been more in terms of goals. But it kind of just maybe showed the level of both these teams currently in terms of form and lack of finishing in the final third. You spoke about quickly with Lazio. I mean, this game against Milan, and then looking totally almost lifeless in the game against Bayern, where I think they had a shot to go for it at least. So I think it just what it was. But so we turn the page, we go on from this, and like I said, we try to finish as high as possible. We have opportunity to go past Juve, depending on how they go as well. So the battle there for second place, I think, is still alive and well. And Milan will see how they finish. But if you want to make just one thing, last thing I wanted to say, if you want to make more of an impact on these refereeing and kind of really reprimanding them, this 1 month bullshit of suspending them or making them go down to B for a bit and then coming back up, it's not going to really solve the issue, guys. There's more to it than that. So, but yeah, I mean, I hate talking about the referees, but it seems like in Italy, if there's not somebody spying on you from an opposition team, there's shenanigans on the pitch with the referees. So I guess like all we can say is solo in Italia.
I don't know if you have any comments about the actual Reds themselves, because I feel like the first one, on Pellegrini, I think it was merited. If I'm not mistaken, it was a double yellow.
Yeah, well,
just don't get two yellows. Whatever, it happens. But then the two Reds right at the end.
The Marusic one, I didn't really understand. I didn't see it live, so you guys could correct me if I'm wrong how I interpreted this, but I didn't really. Okay, there was the contact with Leao there when they were going up for the ball, and maybe Leao kind of went for embellished it a bit as most players do. Was he on a yellow? I don't remember. I didn't check that. So again, sorry for that. But that red card for me, I didn't really understand. And then the Guendouzi one at the end.
Forget about it.
Yeah,
I mean that one made no sense.
Like I didn't really. Was he on the yellow too? I don't know. I didn't see. There's the famous picture of Di Bello, one hand red card, one hand yellow for both Guendouzi and Pulisic. It's that becomes a meme right after that. So I can't say I really understood the second two. Me, it was more the Marusic one because I really didn't understand it. The Guendouzi one, I mean, listen, was he on a yellow? I don't know. Was that second yellow? Maybe you can check it out. I don't know, but
he wasn't.
He wasn't. So yeah, straight red for maybe that little bit of rough play. I mean, I don't know. Have we come to that in the society in terms of culture? It would be a shame if that's the case. there obviously was contact from Pulisic to Guendouzi. The whole point of the arm and really tugging on him. And I think out of frustration, that's how he reacted. Is it a red card? I don't think so. But again, it's the end of the game. It almost seemed like Dybala was just ready to get ready to wrap this up. It was a real disaster class on his part in terms of, for mostly those two. The first one, like you said, and how I saw it at least. I mean, Pellegrini, I'm sorry, but like, you're an idiot. Like, you're on a yellow. You do, like, was Pulisic wrong for trying to continue play with somebody down? Yeah, maybe some people are gonna say, yeah, it's classless or it's not sportsmanlike. Sure, but at the same time, the ball wasn't put out of play, and the ref has already stopped the match, right? So, call it what you want. I think that's kind of a rookie mistake, bonehead mistake from him, young player. Because you're an idiot. You're already on a yellow card. You're gonna go do something stupid to put yourself at a disadvantage. Albeit maybe you are right in terms of Pulisic should have put the ball out, whatever, fair play, all that. But again, you go that extra step, even though it wasn't malicious or really dangerous, you go that extra step and just put yourself at a disadvantage and you shoot yourself in the foot. For me, that's where I see it's a bit of a boneheaded mistake. But the other two is the ones that I kind of scratch my head about and try to be as unbiased as possible in those two, because I really didn't see, like I just explained, I didn't really think that both those were merited as red cards. But I don't think, regardless of that was really happening at the end of the game. Lazio had 90 minutes to do something before that, to gain the 3 points or maybe the one, and they didn't. So I'm not here to say that it would have been a different game, but I think you create your own luck, you create your own opportunities, and when you're not creating enough and not being able to be clinical, that kind of bites you in the ass later on. So it's kind of how I saw all that in terms of the shenanigans. But I will put my hands up and say Dybala disaster class. I mean, this is not the first time from him, and probably not the last that we'll see of him in shit refereeing performances. But I digress. I think we have bigger problems in Italy than only this. So
yeah. I mean, for me, the two red cards, not to beat a dead horse now since we've talked about it, but the two red cards at the end is just, it feels like he lost control of the game and he was just trying to put his stamp on it. But at that point, 95 minutes later, if you don't have control of the game, you're not doing a good job as a referee. Apparently, according to the Gazette, the second time he's been suspended this season, which is pretty crazy. If you get suspended twice from your job, I don't know how you still have your job after, but whatever.
But he clearly didn't learn his lesson, right? Because he already got suspended one time, and now they came back and he does and another shit performance. So again, no control, I think, is what like you said is well said. Clearly there wasn't that, especially near the end. During the game, whatever, let things go, didn't let things go, whatever. But yeah, once, okay, twice, now 3 times we're gonna have to see. So
yeah. I don't know if there's a way to improve officiating in Serie A. I think, for me, what I think they should do is get foreign refs. Simple as that. Not just to just get foreign refs to come and officiate, but work with other leagues, work with other associations, work with UEFA. Improve the overall refereeing structure. Don't just rely on, what is it called, the AIA? Is that the referee association? Don't just stick within your 4 walls of AIA. Go and take part of these joint programs. I know UEFA and CONMEBOL, they have a joint program now where during the Copa America there's a couple of European refs. During the Euros, there's a couple of South American refs. Combine. Just get better. Just get better. It is tiring talking about referees, and I know they do mistakes. And we can even talk about that the Inter Genoa game. That penalty should not have been a penalty. You look at it quickly, it looks like a penalty. Fast, it looks like a penalty. I don't know where the referee was positioned on that one, that's one where VAR needs to step in and say, look, this is clear and obvious error. It needs to be turned. I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know who was on VAR then, but it's frustrating.
I heard that ref got suspended too. Sorry to cut you off.
They all get suspended apparently.
Right. So
I don't know.
Doesn't change.
Gianni, you have the most refereeing experience out of us. Do you have any thoughts of all the controversy this weekend?
It's so hard, honestly speaking, when you're a referee, because you have such a short span to make a judgment call, and you have like very little evidence to go off of from the get-go. So you have to go with an immediate reaction. And what sucks is that when you're a referee, you can't, if you go back on one of your calls, you just look completely weak. People are not going to take your decisions as credible. What you have to do is you make a decision, you stick by it. Afterwards, after review, and if you realize it's a mistake, or if you realize that you made an error, then you apologize for it. It is human error. Like, people are human. They can make mistakes and they go with what they see. Now, in the day and age of VAR, right?
Yeah.
So in a day and age of VAR, that changes things, because now you have eyes on the play. Thing is, the eyes on the play also, if for anything that might have potential audio issues or might have problems related to what someone said on the field, they don't have the ability to capture that, but they'll be able to but any fouls or whatnot, they'll be able to capture. So that's where it's like, okay, well, you lose a little bit of leeway now. If you're unsure of a call, you can always contact the VAR room and they can help you out with a decision, and they can give you some eyesight, and then you can even go check out a replay yourself. So that's where I think you lose that wiggle room to make mistakes. You have the means to double check something that you're unsure of before making a call. But at the moment, you have to always give a decision. Like in the instant, you can't just say, "Wait, hold on, let me think." You have to call something. And then if it ends up, if VAR says, "Well, that's actually wasn't a foul," you should take a look at the replay, and then you look at it. Okay, I'll retract the yellow and blah blah blah. What I think the league should start doing is basically what I've said many times before. Do like American football. Do like the Australian football, where or hockey. Where the refs announce the calls or the reasoning as to why it's a goal or no goal, or why it was a foul, or why was VAR called, why did VAR change the decision, or why was the decision revoked back? Have the referees make a call so that the fans or the viewers can have an explanation as to why that call was made, so that they have a bit more clarity. And then the people at the stadium, they'll hear the announcement and then they'll be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." I just think probably Serie A just doesn't have that infrastructure to do that properly, but it is what it is. I think if they announce or mention what their calls are or the reasons behind it, I think it would solve a lot of issues, and it helps you weed out the good refs from the bad refs, because the ones that make the terrible calls and they give the terrible explanations, well, if you're an association that manages your refs, you'll be able to say okay, well, he really didn't do his homework, because by the rule book, it's X, Y, and Z. And you did W, if it's one-time mistake, it happens. But if it's somebody who's consistently making the wrong calls, it allows you to catch them much quicker and allow them to go through a retraining course. Sometimes it's not just a cardio aspect of the rep that might be an issue. It's about maybe they just they're having to mix up with the rulings, or maybe there's something that's they're missing some clarity on a certain section or whatnot. Those are my personal thoughts about it. It is a bit weird and sucks, because I feel for Lazio, because this weekend was not their kind of weekend with the calls that were made and stuff. But it's something every week a different team has a controversy with a referee, and that's just we can all say that's just soccer in general. What competition has ever had perfect refs? There's been no competition in the history of our lives that had referees and are at the end of the day okay, all the refs were great. There's always going to be one that's going to be oh, well, that ref for that game wasn't that good, or blah, blah, blah. It's normal. But
I also think some of these refs gotta take gotta chew their pride a bit and kind of really just go in there, and it's listen, I'm forget who I am and what my name or whatever. You suck up your pride a bit, and you fucking go out there and make the right call. Listen, we have. Before we can have this conversation almost sounds like before we had VAR, and at the beginning of VAR, you guys know I wasn't a fan, and sometimes I'm still not a fan, but we have the tool, quote unquote, to say that we can try to avoid some of this. A lot of these things are subjective. You might think just on this show, we have 3 different opinions on things at times, right? So when we go back and check the facts, then we can kind of come to an agreement and say, hey, okay, yeah, that was, it was X and not Y and Z, like you said, Jenny. So I don't know. For me, and before you kind of bopped off a bit before Johnny, but like I didn't really understand the red cards of the last 2, the Marusic and the Guendouzi one. For me, I didn't understand those. So maybe, like you said, that clarity of explaining what the hell happened and why it was the deemed a red card and not a yellow or no card at all, that could help. For me, the first one, it stands. You get a second yellow. You're an idiot for your actions, your decision. Okay, I can chew and swallow that one, but it's the other 2 that I agree with what you're saying in terms of not having much clarity. And maybe there was. I didn't see it live, so again, don't go crazy on me in the comments. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes like these refs, they know. Yeah, okay, they're gonna get a slap on the wrist, like we said. DeBello 2 times he got suspended this season alone. Who knows in his officiating career, and he knows that come April, May, he'll be back in action, and nothing really will happen, and he's back to his everyday officiating life. And I don't know, there doesn't seem to be a clear decision on what how to really stop these things. But again, human nature, okay. That is true, but when we have tools to try to help mistakes that do happen in everyday life and everyday decision making, which is perfectly normal, I think they should be used in a way that are not having Liauto goal kind of trying to make a meme about situations at hand in terms of the Inter Genoa game, right? In that not in my opinion shouldn't have been a penalty, right? So. But yeah, I digress. We're going to be here all night if we're going to talk about referees, so let's move on.